Welcome to Portland Insight Meditation Sunday gathering, the longer one than usual, which is nice. It gives us a chance for anyone who's new to know that we sit for a while, and then we have Jim lead us in some mindful movement of Qigong for 15 minutes, and then we have some conversation. Today I had some ideas stimulated by last week on dealing with fear and anxiety and anger and confusion, and also understanding where joy fits into the practice. So we'll have some sharing there. But first, I just want to really welcome everyone. And in being committed to making the exploration of our practices and the teachings of the Buddha relevant and accessible in today's world, it's important that we welcome all people of every age and ethnicity, our cultural heritage and religious background, our socioeconomic group and our abilities, sexual orientation and gender identity. And in this way, we aspire to follow in the footsteps of the Buddha, who offered his teachings on happiness, joy, awakening, and freedom freely to everyone without exception. And so we put a Dana donation link provided later on just to encourage generosity and to continue these time-honored teachings. And so as we begin to settle into our spot, I thought this morning I might start with a poem that I read last week that was really meaningful, and I think it really sets a nice intention for the sitting. It is written by Gendun Rinpoche, and some people had requested it. So I'm going to read it again as sort of part of our intention in sitting this morning. Happiness cannot be found through great effort and willpower, for it's already present in relaxation and letting go. So don't strain yourself, for there's nothing to do. Whatever arises in the mind has no real importance, for it has no lasting reality. Don't be attached to it, don't identify with it, and don't pass judgment upon it. Without changing or manipulating anything, let the entire game of life happen on its own, springing up and falling back like waves. Everything vanishes and reappears magically without end. Our searching for happiness prevents us from being it, like rainbows that we pursue without ever catching. What is real already exists, always here, accompanying us in every instant. Wanting to grasp the ungraspable, we exhaust ourselves in vain. As soon as we open and relax, space is here. Open, inviting, and comfortable. Don't search any further. Don't go into the tangled jungle looking for the great elephant who's already resting quietly here at home. Nothing to do, nothing to force, nothing to want. Everything happens by itself. And since it is Sunday morning, we would be hopefully pretty soon in our larger hall together, and it's nice to take the opportunity to pay homage and reflect on the 5 precepts. And I'm wondering if someone feels like helping me with this. I would like to recite the Pali, and I'd like someone else to read back the English. Is there anybody who's willing to do that with me? And if you are, why don't you unmute yourself and tell me so that I don't have to look for your digital hand or your waving hand. Anybody interested? I'll put it up and share it on the screen. Let me see where the right one is.
I love you.
Oh, good. Thanks, Sandra. Do you see the screen?
I do.
Okay. And other people, if you want to look at the screen, you can. If you don't and you want to say it along for yourselves with us, that would be fantastic. So in taking homage, in offering homage, we pay our respects to the Buddha, the Dhamma, and the Sangha. The opportunity that we have for acknowledging our awakening mind and the teachings, the truths that we see for ourselves, and the Sangha of each other in our support. So I'll do the homages in Pali, and then you could do it back in English, Sandra. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa.
Homage to the Blessed, Noble, and Perfectly Enlightened One.
I'm going to repeat these 3 times. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa.
Homage to the Blessed, Noble, and Perfectly Enlightened One.
Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa.
Homage to the Blessed, Noble, and Perfectly Enlightened One.
Buddham saranam gacchami, Dhanang saranam gacchami, Sanghang saranam gacchami.
I take refuge in the Buddha. I take refuge in the Dhamma. I take refuge in the Sangha.
Dutiyampi Buddhang saranam gacchami.
For the 2nd time, I take refuge in the Buddha.
Tutiyampi Buddhang saranam gacchami.
For the 3rd time, I take refuge in the Buddha.
Tatiyampi Buddhang saranam gacchami. That's the 3rd time.
Oh, sorry.
That's okay. We're all in this together.
For the 3rd time, I take refuge in the Buddha.
And the Dhamma and the Sangha.
Dhamma and the Sangha.
Yep. And here we go on the precepts. Taking these precepts helps us to feel the container of safety. And it allows us to understand that in taking these precepts, we are undertaking harmonious living together. Panatipata Vairamani Sikapadang Samadhiyami.
I undertake the rule of training to refrain from taking the life of any living being. I aspire to become kind and of service to all beings.
Adina Dana Vairamani Sikapadang Samadhiyami.
I undertake the rule of training to refrain from taking that which is not freely given. I aspire to become generous to all beings.
Kamesu Michachara Vairamani Sikapadang Samadhiyami.
I undertake the rule of training to refrain from sexual acts which cause harm. I aspire to nurture love, relationship, and beauty.
Musawada Vairamani Sikapadang Samadhiyami.
I undertake the rule of training to refrain from false and harmful speech. I aspire to use speech to create happiness, harmony, and understanding.
Surya Merya Majapamadatana Vairamani Sikapadang Samadhiyami.
I undertake the rule of training to refrain from the use of intoxicants. I aspire to cultivate mindfulness and wisdom.
Thank you very much. And as we hold those understandings in our heart and we let ourselves settle into our nested position of sitting in the chair or wherever we might be sitting, sometimes lying down.
Recording in progress.
I'm going to record the meditation for now. Settling in, noticing what's happening around us. There may be hearing happening from far away or close up. We have all kinds of life experiences around us now that we're sitting at home. We have our cats, we have our dogs, we have our children, we have furnaces going off and on, street noises, and in other rooms of the house noises. We just allow that all to be part of our mindfulness practice, being present with what is. And what is comes to us through conditions arising. Conditions that come to all of our senses of hearing, of seeing, tasting, smelling, touching, and the thought door. We may take a moment to notice how our body feels, maybe allowing a sense of relaxing and letting go to flow behind our eyes, relaxing around our temples, and in our face and our jaw, letting our tongue relax. Just noticing our shoulders, letting a sense of relaxation flow through our bodies, around our hearts and our diaphragm, our organs. We might begin noticing our breath in any number of these places. And we can feel gravity where we're sitting, where our feet might be touching. We can notice sensations of pressure and warmth or tingling, coolness, sensations happening throughout the body. Letting mindfulness be present, awareness arises with wherever we put our attention, wherever our attention is drawn. You may have whatever way you like to have for beginning your meditation. Some people like starting with the breath. It's consistent, we can always find it. It's a way of bringing concentration, stillness to the body, and calmness to the mind. It's part of the first and some of the straightforward instructions of the Buddha in two of his most popularly translated suttas, beginning with the breath. We may notice breathing in, there's a long breath or a short breath. We may notice breathing out, a long breath or a short breath. We can just let our attention gently rest there with the breath, noticing a long or a short breath. Whether we feel that coolness at the nostrils or pressure at the diaphragm, or the release of that pressure or the warmth on the nostrils. We can return here throughout our sitting time to begin again. Let the mind find a single point for concentration, which helps keep out defilements that arise. But sometimes those defilements are pretty strong, so we may notice tiredness happening, in which case it's easy to open the eyes and let some light in. We might notice restlessness or aversion, pushing something away or grasping at something. There might be doubt in the mind. All of these that are called defilements distract us from being able to cultivate freedom. And so that's why we start sometimes with a single object of the breath to help settle the mind. Let the heart and mind, chitta as it's called in Pali, the heart and mind are really considered one word. We let it relax. We hold it in gentleness. We hold ourselves in kindness. We may notice our attention wandering, entertaining ourselves with thoughts that come and go. And when we notice this is happening, we can just wake up at that very moment, being aware and acknowledging that the mind is wandering can actually bring joy to the mind because we're awakening and we have awareness there. We can also return to the breath as the single object of our attention, or we can use a touch point in the body where the buttocks is sitting on the chair or cushion, or where our hands might be touching, our lips or our eyelids. Bringing ourselves once again to what's happening in this very moment. What is the attitude of our minds? Holding ourselves gently and easefully. It's a natural process. The arising and passing away of conditions, and mindfulness and awareness being there brings clarity, allows wisdom to arise. So that we can really see for ourselves anicca, anatta, dukkha, that conditioned things arise. They stay for a certain amount of time, and they go away on their own accord. They aren't personal. We can't really grasp onto them. We can't hold on to what's good, and we can't push away what we're not happy with, but we can be present and have just enough energy and effort to be interested in what's happening. Relaxed and calm, interested. And every now and then, when we get lost or don't know where we are or what we're doing, or we're lost in thought. We can just bring ourselves again back to that present moment experience of paying attention to the breath at the nostrils or the belly, or to our sits bones pressure. We can notice heat and tingling, coolness. There are sensations happening all over the body that our mindfulness can notice. Awareness can be with it, and insight and investigation is just present and open, naturally flowing to feel directly how whatever we're attending to arises and passes away. And that's another sense of great joy, to see clearly, whether it's pleasant or unpleasant, to see the impermanent nature of conditioned things. Sometimes it's helpful as we're holding ourselves gently and in kindness and the intention of skillful direction in the mind. It's nice to put a soft smile. Maybe it's just an inner smile, a lightness of being. But just allow a soft smile to come to our faces, visible or invisible, of the joy in the practice. We're present. We're seeing clearly and knowing it. We're seeing what's arising. We're touching it, connecting with it, sustaining that connection until it passes. And mindfulness is present again, and awareness is present again for whatever next object arises, whether we're staying with our attention on the breath or whether we've expanded our attention into the broader body, feeling our entire body breathing, or whether we're noticing what comes at any of our senses, what arises in the body, what arises in the mind. We're present, relaxed, easeful, smiling gently. As we continue with our awareness, being present with whatever's arising, we may notice that our breath has changed. Perhaps we always can have awareness of our breath even though we're attending to what is immediately arising and passing away. We can also let this breath be noticed throughout our entire being as we sit grounded in our noble seat, and we have the container of our bodies, of our hearts, that we can hold ourselves gently in this container. That we can have some sense of kindness, thoughts of well-being for ourselves. Sometimes if we evoke a place that's our favorite place to go, or maybe there's something that inspires happiness and kindness for us, if sometimes it's hard to give it to ourselves. And as the Buddha pointed out, there's no one more deserving than ourselves of loving kindness. And as we generate this well-being for ourselves, we can also share it with others. So laying a foundation of well-wishing, well-being, wishing ourselves to be free from harm, safe and protected, and have ease in our lives. May we let this kindness, this easefulness, generosity to ourselves flow also, including in our heart space, to a teacher, maybe our first Dharma teacher or someone that has influenced us in a positive manner, letting this sense of kindness flow to another person, a teacher, a benefactor. However you feel it in your body, or maybe you say the classic phrases or can find some words to use for yourself, or just have a sense of this well-being and also compassion when things are challenging, that we can be present with our own and with another person's suffering. That our benefactor, our teacher, we know has difficult times, and may they take care of themselves happily and have compassion for themselves when things are difficult. And may joy arise as we are present with ourselves and our benefactor. May we be happy for our joyous moments and happy for another person's moments of happiness and joy. And may we let this feeling of kindness flow to a close friend, including in our hearts and minds. Seeing this person happy and healthy, free from harm, safe and protected. May we have compassion and care about your suffering. And may you continue to have joyous moments. May we be happy for the other person's happiness and successes. And we let this kindness flow out to others, still held within our hearts and minds. It's a development of concentration, these Brahmaviharas, the beautiful states of mind. Sometimes we can include a difficult person or a difficult situation, wishing safety and freedom from harm, knowing that joy and sorrows arise and pass away, and having some equanimity, knowing that we can't keep other people from their suffering. May we allow this metta and karuna, kindness and compassion, mudita, joy, and upekkha, equanimity, flow to other beings, beings known and unknown, seen and unseen, those that are enlightened and those that are unenlightened, those in joy and those in sorrow. May all beings everywhere have happiness and the causes of happiness. Be free from suffering. Anicca vata sankhara upadavaya domino upakitawa meruchanti te samvapasamo sukho. All conditioned things are subject to impermanence. They arise and pass away. And we take this opportunity to see clearly with mindfulness. And that brings us the greatest happiness, which is peace. Thank you so much for your practice, and may the merits and the goodness of our practice be of benefit to all sentient beings as we gently take on new conditions, opening our eyes and reaching for our glasses or drinking a swallow of water nearby. Just allowing this kindness to flow to each other in our circle here. And very shortly, I'm going to turn the camera over to Jim, so that you can carefully, easefully allow yourselves to arise and have some movement before coming back for some conversation. I'm going to turn off my YouTube or the Facebook video so that Jim can take it over.